What are you expecting to hear from Powell?
Well, I've been trying to put myself into his shoes. What would I do if I were him? Which is a bit of a sort of, great thought experiment, because it will never happen. Got the wrong passport for starters. I mean, we learned a lot from the recent minutes. I think there was a phrase, I'm going to paraphrase it, was something like the majority of members thought that if blah-de-blah-de-blah doesn't happen, then we'll be on track to start easing at the next meeting, which is a pretty clear signal that September something's going to happen. We're probably going to get rate cuts, but probably is doing quite a lot of the heavy lifting there. And the problem for Powell and those who want him to say, it's 50, folks, which he's not going to do, is he, like everyone else, he doesn't know where payrolls is going to go next month. He doesn't know what the retail sales numbers are going to do. He doesn't know what the CPI numbers are going to do. And until he sees them, he has to be going, yeah, well, we think it's 25, we think it's September, but, everything's still on the table, which I think some of the previous Fed governors seem to be alluding to.
Yeah, it's interesting. I heard a line of thought this morning that I wanted to put to you. I mean, is the data, as far as the macro numbers are concerned, more important for the micro story than the Fed? Because when you're looking at the US slowdown and some of the language we've been hearing from these earnings reports about, consumers pushing back on pricing and some of the demand, what do you think of that?
Look, it's important. The first thing, I've been doing macro stuff for 30-odd years. Macro data's awful. It's generally bad. The US data is some of the best stuff in the world, but it's still mostly rubbish. You really have to do what I call putting your head on the side, letting your eyes go a bit fuzzy when you start looking at this stuff. And if you can see something appearing through that sort of miasma and haze, then perhaps there's a message coming through. But what firms are telling you is also interesting. And the interesting thing about that is when they tell you stuff which is bad, bearing in mind most companies are all about making their share price look good. If they're telling you something negative like that, there's pushback from consumers in terms of pricing, then something's probably going on that you should take real notice of.